Today we are going to do a test which is known as estimation of serum bilirubin by Vandenberg's test or Vandenberg's reaction. So before going into the test, briefly I would like to tell something about bilirubin, where it is secreted and its pathway through which it is excreted from the body, so that after we do the test we can know the causes of hyperbilirubinemia. So coming to bilirubin, this bilirubin is a compound which we get from hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, when it has two parts actually, globin part and heme part. Globin is the protein part and heme is the non-protein part. When this heme is degraded, it gives us biliverdin, and then biliverdin gets converted to bilirubin. So if asked from where do we get bilirubin, we get bilirubin from hemoglobin. And this all degradation, it occurs in the spleen. So in the spleen, when the RBCs, the red blood cells which contains the hemoglobin, they are lysed. From the RBCs we get the hemoglobin, and from the hemoglobin we get the bilirubin. So this all takes part in the spleen. Now bilirubin, it is insoluble. It is insoluble in the plasma. So if it has to come out of the spleen to the blood, it has to get solubilized in the blood. But as such, since bilirubin is insoluble, it has to get combined to some other compound which will make it solubilize, and that compound is, or that protein is, an albumin. Albumin combines with bilirubin, giving us bilirubin albumin complex, which is soluble in the blood plasma. Now this bilirubin albumin complex, through the circulation it comes to the liver then. Now the main work of albumin is to transfer the bilirubin from the spleen to the liver and make it solubilize. So when it comes to the liver, the albumin leaves the bilirubin in the liver and it is given up. Now the bilirubin in the liver then undergoes conjugation. That means it combines with some other product. The purpose of conjugation is to again make the bilirubin solubilize, because bilirubin is insoluble. When in liver it's okay, but if it has to come out of the liver into the gut through the blood, then it has to get solubilized. So in order to make it soluble, it has to get combined with some other compound, and that compound here is UDP glucuronic acid, or it is also known as UDP glucuronate. So two molecules of UDP glucuronate gives the glucuronate part to bilirubin, and it forms bilirubin diglucuronide, since two glucuronic acid comes from this, and the enzyme is UDP glucuronyl transferase. Now this bilirubin diglucuronide, which is formed after two steps of conjugation, it is now soluble in it, and it can now come out of the liver into the blood plasma. So when it comes out in the duct, bile duct, and then from there to the gut. Now in the gut, what happens, the bilirubin diglucuronide, it is acted upon by certain enzymes, and those are bacterial enzymes. As we know, the gut contains several bacterial flora, and such bacterial enzymes such as beta glucuronidases, it acts on this bilirubin diglucuronide, giving us bilirubin again, and then this bilirubin gets converted to urobilinogen by the bacterial enzymes only. So this urobilinogen, now some part is reabsorbed in the blood plasma, and some part it is converted to urobilin, which through the kidney it comes out in the urine, and this urobilin is the cause which gives the yellow color to the urine. So we get urobilin from urobilinogen, and this is the cause of the yellow color of the urine. Now some part of urobilinogen, actually a major part, gets converted to stercobilin, which comes out of the feces and is responsible for the brown color of the feces. So to sum up again, if we want to know the bilirubin pathway, we should know certain organs, that is the spleen, liver and the gut. Spleen, it produces the bilirubin from hemoglobin. In the blood, it combines with albumin so that it is soluble. In the liver, conjugation occurs with UDP glucuronic acid enzyme. It is very important, UDP glucuronyl transferase. Conjugation occurs, bilirubin diglucuronide formed, and coming in the gut, it is acted upon by bacterial enzymes, which gives us urobilinogen, some part of which converted to urobilin, giving the yellow color of urine, and some part gets converted to stercobilin, giving the brown color of the feces. So now coming to the principle of this test, that is Vandenberg's test. This test is based on the principle of Vandenberg's reaction, which means that when conjugated bilirubin reacts with the Vandenberg's reagent, and this reagent is diazotized sulfonylic acid. In the slides that will be given, there it is mentioned how this sulfanilic acid is formed. But for now, just let us say that when conjugated bilirubin, it combines with the diazotyl sulfanilic acid, it gives us a compound which is known as azobilirubin, that is purple in color. And this color is directly proportional to the concentration of bilirubin, because we see that this purple color is formed only when bilirubin reacts with diazotyl sulfanilic acid. So if bilirubin is not there, color is also not there. So this color is responsible for the presence, the color is produced due to the presence of bilirubin, and the more the color, the concentration of bilirubin is also more. If the color is a bit light, then the concentration of bilirubin is also less. So coming to the principle again, that conjugated bilirubin combines with diazotyl sulfanilic acid or Vandenberg's reagent to give us a purple colored compound which is known as azobilirubin. Now when we will be doing the test, we will see that in a test tube we take the sample which will contain actually conjugated and unconjugated bilirubin both, and then when we add the Vandenberg's reagent, I have written it in short form. So the conjugated bilirubin will react with Vandenberg's reagent to give the purple color, because Vandenberg's reagent combines only with the conjugated bilirubin, not with the unconjugated one, because conjugated is the soluble one. As I have already said, the bilirubin as such is insoluble. When it is conjugated, then only it is soluble. So it combines with the conjugated bilirubin to give the purple color. Now the sample may also contain unconjugated bilirubin. So we have to put certain chemical or certain substance which will solubilize this unconjugated bilirubin and make it solubilize. Once it is solubilized, then that compound can also react with Vandenberg's reagent. So if after taking the sample and putting Vandenberg's reagent we get a purple color, then it is only for the conjugated bilirubin that we are getting. Now after that, if we add methanol to that serum again, then that methanol will convert the unconjugated bilirubin into the soluble part. Solubilize the bilirubin, and that soluble bilirubin will now combine with again the Vandenberg's reagent to give us purple color again. So the intensity of color will again increase. So the purpose of adding methanol in the reaction is to solubilize the unconjugated bilirubin so that it can react with the Vandenberg's reagent, giving us the purple color. So at the end of the test, the value that we get it for the total bilirubin, that is both for conjugated and the unconjugated bilirubin. It is asked what is the purpose of methanol, and at the end of the test the value is for which? Is it for conjugated or unconjugated or for total? So at the end of the test it is for the total bilirubin that we are getting. So as we have already discussed the pathway, how the bilirubin is produced and then metabolized. Now if any defect in this pathway occurs, then the concentration of bilirubin in the serum may increase, leading to a condition which is known as jaundice, which is a condition where there will be yellowish discoloration of the sclera in the skin, and also there will be yellowish discoloration of the urine also, due to excess amount of bilirubin present in the serum. Now when it is asked that what are the different kinds of jaundice, we can memorize it by remembering it like this, that the three causes are prehepatic, hepatic and posthepatic. Hepatic means the liver. So the three causes, one may be above the liver, which is prehepatic cause, in the liver, that is hepatic cause, and after the liver, that is posthepatic cause. So coming to the causes, so if any defect is there before the liver, that is before the bilirubin comes into the liver, if any defect is there in that is occurring in the spleen, then it may give rise to jaundice, which is prehepatic jaundice. So such causes may be any defect in the red cell membrane, because if the red cell membrane or the red cell are lysed more, then we get more bilirubin. If we get more bilirubin, then when that bilirubin comes to the liver has a maximum capacity to conjugate. The extra amount of bilirubin will not be conjugated, and that will be remaining in the blood only. So such causes are like sickle cell anemia, then spherocytosis, malaria, where there will be increased degradation of the RBCs in the spleen, giving rise to raised amount of bilirubin which the liver cannot handle or which the liver cannot conjugate, giving rise to unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia, because the excess amount of bilirubin that will come here, some amount or the maximum amount that the liver can conjugate will conjugate, but the rest amount the liver cannot conjugate. So there will be unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia in prehepatic jaundice. Now in hepatic jaundice, what happens? The causes lies in the liver itself. So such causes are viral hepatitis or cirrhosis or carcinoma of the liver, where we get both conjugated and unconjugated bilirubin raised. So in hepatic jaundice, we get both unconjugated and conjugated bilirubin raised in the serum. Now coming to the post-hepatic jaundice, that means everything is normal here, but some defect is there in the gut. So it comes in when the bilirubin diglucuronide is secreted from the liver, it comes through the common bile duct. So suppose there is any blockage in the duct. Suppose this is the common bile duct and the bilirubin diglucuronide comes through this, but if there is any blockage here, so the bilirubin diglucuronide cannot come down, so it will again reflux back. In that case, it is already conjugated. So in post-hepatic jaundice, the cause lies here. Such causes are like any blockage here. The blockage may be due to a tumor in the common bile duct, or there may be a stricture here, or there may be a carcinoma head of pancreas which will compress here, not allowing the bilirubin to come down. So any blockage in the common bile duct will give rise to post-hepatic jaundice and conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, because the bilirubin will be conjugated but it cannot come down to the normal pathway. So the cause of post-hepatic jaundice is blockade. Pre-hepatic jaundice, we get unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia. In hepatic jaundice, we get both unconjugated and conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, and in post-hepatic jaundice, we get conjugated hyperbilirubinemia. And the causes for pre-hepatic: malaria, sickle cell anemia, spherocytosis. For liver, that is hepatic jaundice, it is cirrhosis, viral hepatitis or carcinoma of the liver, and in post-hepatic jaundice, it is gallstone or tumor of the common bile duct or any stricture in the common bile duct. The requirements for doing this test, that is Vandenberg's reaction for estimation of serum bilirubin, the reagents that are required is solution A, which is diazo solution A, then diazo solution B. We mix this two solution in a ratio of 10 ml of solution A and 0.3 ml of solution B and make it the diazo reagent or the Vandenberg's reagent. The solution A is prepared by mixing sulfonilic acid and hydrochloric acid and then dissolve it in distilled water to make the solution. Then solution B is sodium nitrate dissolved in distilled water. So both this solution we mix in the ratio of 10 is to 0.3 and then make the diazo reagent. Then the next requirement is distilled water. Then we need methanol. This is working standard for bilirubin, and this is the test sample which contains the bilirubin, and we have to estimate the amount of bilirubin present in this sample. Now for this test, we take 3 test tubes and we mark it as B, that is blank, then S, that is for the standard, and T, that is for the test. Now in each of this test tube, we put the reagents in this manner. As we can see that for the test, that is in the test tube which has been marked as T for the test sample, the reagents that are required, first we'll put serum, that is 0.2 ml of this serum we'll put. For this we will not put the working standard because this is the test sample. So we'll put the test sample or the serum. Then distilled water, we will put 1.1 ml of distilled water, diazo reagent 0.7 ml and methanol 3 ml. So all these reagents will be putting in the test tube which has been marked T for the test. Then for the standard test tube, it is given here. We will, since it is for the standard, we will not put the serum here. We will put the working standard here. So working standard 0.2 ml and the rest are same, that is distilled water 1.1 ml, diazo reagent 0.7 ml and methanol 3 ml. This is for the standard. Now lastly, that is the blank. The blank will not contain either the serum or the working standard. It will contain the others, that is distilled water 1.3 ml, diazo reagent 0.7 and methanol 3 ml. So this is how we have to put all the reagents in this amount that is written here. After we have put all the reagents here, we will mix it properly and then wait for 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, there will be a development of purple color, that is azobilirubin will be formed, and then we will estimate it by colorimetric method in green filter. And whatever value we will get, we will put in this formula. I'll show you how we will derive this formula, and after putting it, we'll get the amount of bilirubin present. So after 5 minutes, we'll see that there will be development of purple color. As we can see here, this is the test tube which has been marked T for the test sample, and we get a dark purple color here. This is for the test. This is for the standard. If we compare it with a white background, we'll see that light purple color has been developed, and this is the blank. Now we will estimate. We will do it colorimetrically. First we'll take the blank, and we have adjusted the colorimetry at 570 nanometer, that is green filter, and then we'll put the blank and make it 0. After it has come to 0, we'll take it out. We'll not touch this now. We will put the blank back. We will wash the cuvette again. Dry it, and then we'll take the standard. We'll put the standard here and read what is the optical density. We see that it is 0.02. Then we take the test, put it in the cuvette, and then put it inside here again, and then read the optical density. It is 0.21. So for standard we got 0.02, and for the test we are getting 0.21. We will put this value in the formula. So whatever values we have got for the optical density of the test and the standard, we have to put it into this formula, that is ODT by ODS into 20, and we will get the value. Now we will see first how we get this formula. First we should know how we prepare the stock solution. We prepare it by mixing 200 milligram of bilirubin. We dissolve it in 100 ml of chloroform, and we prepare the stock solution. That is 100 ml of stock solution we prepare, where the amount of bilirubin is 200, which is this, that is 100 ml contains 200 milligram of bilirubin. Therefore 1 ml will contain 2 milligram of bilirubin. Now whatever stock solution 100 ml we have prepared, from there we will take some amount and prepare the working standard from this only. So we take 10 ml from this 100 ml and then dissolve it in 90 ml of chloroform, so that it becomes 100 ml of a solution. 10 plus 90 is 100 ml. So in that 100 ml of solution, we have taken 10 ml of the stock solution. So if we want to see how much bilirubin was present in this 10 ml, we can get it from here. Therefore, since 1 ml contains 2 milligram of bilirubin, 10 ml will contain 20 milligram of bilirubin. Therefore, it is written here as such that 100 ml of this working standard will contain 20 milligram of bilirubin. Therefore, 1 ml will contain 20 by 100, that is 0.2 milligram of bilirubin. Therefore, 0.2 ml will contain 0.2 into 0.2, that is 0.04 milligram of bilirubin. Now why we have taken this 0.2? Because we see that when we have taken the reagents in the standard, the amount of working standard for bilirubin that we have taken is 0.2 ml. So we should know that the 0.2 ml that we have taken, how much bilirubin it contains. So we derive for 0.2 ml of working standard how much it contains bilirubin. So this is 0.04. So in the concentration of working standard, against this we write 0.04. Now this test volume is the volume of the serum that we are using for the test. So here the volume of the serum that we have used is 0.2 ml. So we put 0.2 ml against this, and when we calculate this we get 20 milligram %. So ODT divided by ODS into 20 milligram is the formula for concentration of bilirubin. So for any analyte that we are estimating by colorimetry, the formula is this. If we know this, then we have to put how much is the concentration of working standard and the test volume, and then we get the main formula. So here in our test, the ODT of the test was 0.21, the optical density of the standard was 0.02, and if we multiply it by 20 we get 210. So the amount of bilirubin in the sample was very high, which is more than the normal range. It is 210 milligram %. So we can say that the person is suffering from jaundice or hyperbilirubinemia.